Welcome in to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, the official podcast of your New Orleans Pelicans. A podcast dedicated to everything you need to know about the squad. Hear from players, coaches, broadcasters, and those who cover the NBA on a daily basis. It's time to flock up. The New Orleans Pelicans Podcast starts right now.
Hello, everyone, and welcome to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast, the official podcast of your New Orleans Pelicans. Gus Kattengell, Jim Eichenhofer with you. Got a lot to talk about. Only 2 games since, beginning of last week, Jim. But it was a nice win over the weekend here. 3-game homestand has come to a close. You get 2 wins out of it. And the game on Friday against Golden State, man, that was as exciting as it could be. If you came to see Steph Curry and the Warriors, you got to see what made the Dubs and Steph, but at the same time, you saw the Pels fight and almost, come out with a win there. Just your overall thoughts on the 3-game homestand for the team.
I thought it was encouraging. I mean, to get the 2 wins is great, but maybe in some ways even more important than that, just the development that we're seeing from several of the younger players. The fact that, they're at the point where they're playing 4 rookies, very significant minutes, is something that we definitely never thought we would see when the season began. I don't know if we thought we'd see more than 1 rookie play a lot. But the fact that a lot of these guys are taking advantage of the minutes, I really like what I've seen from Keon Brooks lately. Karlo Makovic, since the end of January, has played really well. Yves Missi continues to make strides, and Antonio Reeves has been one of the better shooters over this last stretch. So, we're seeing a lot of positive stuff from some of the guys that are at the outset of their career, and maybe in everyone's case other than Yves Missi are players that didn't play a ton at the beginning of the season.
No doubt. Well, this is what it sounded like on the Pelicans radio network last night as the Pels found a way to get win number 21.
Chesset, left corner. Jose, 1 dribble, spot up 3, nothing but net in front of the Charlotte bench.
Well, that's what you're able to do if you're the Pelicans. You need to turn them over a couple of times and cash in on it.
Reeves has it, steps to his left for 3 again. 2 in a row for Antonio Reeves.
I know you like to think it don't stink.
Off the curl, Antonio Reeves for the Heat. Check.
Roses really smell like boo-boo.
Straight away and splashed. Taken by Brooks Jr. Front court, sprinting, driving, laying it up and in, and 1 foul by Taj Gibson. And the rookie Keon Brooks Jr. in double figures for the 3rd straight game now with 10 points.
And it feels like a month of Sundays since the Pels had the lead.
Throw it out long, intercepted by Alfred Payton, 3-on-2. Payton shovels it to Keon Brooks Jr. for the 2-hand flush and a career high.
Keon Brooks has a little bit of explosiveness that you don't realize.
That would a big-time elevated dunk. Pels up 2. 4:55 to go in the SKC. Alvarado, get it to Reeves. Pop a left wing 3. Oh, big shot, Rook. Big shot. First career start, and he is responding now. 16 points. Jose with 2 with 1. Off the glass, no good. You're up 2 with 40 seconds to go. 3 ball. Smith buried it. Up top. Charlotte leads 94-93. Alvarado, front court right. Drives baseline, underneath the hoop. Reverse layup, good. And 1 for Alvarado. Daquan Jeffries with the hoop and the harm.
When Jose has gone to the basket with the intent to shoot.
Shot clock now at 7. Now you got to go with 5. Jose right wing, crosses over, starts, stops, drives in, dump it off to Brooks, lay it up, and in at the buzzer, and that's going to absolutely light it up.
That's a bucket. Winner, winner.
5 seconds to go. What a play by Jose, and then the rookie Keon Brooks Jr., who has had the game of his life.
All right, Jim, so as you hear the highlights there before we listen to what James Borrego thought of that game, what kind of stands out to you listening to those highlights?
Well, one thing that stands out from listening to it, I don't consider myself to be any pop culture expert or guru, Gus, but I actually did get JD's references to Outkast there when he was talking about Antonio Reeves. Should we explain kind of the backstory to that? Antonio Reeves has a resemblance to Andre 3000.
That's it.
So now we're getting a lot of mentions to lyrics from songs. And so, I'm kind of proud of myself that I actually understood what he was talking about in those cases. But if you don't know, maybe go to YouTube, look up some do some lyric searches for Outkast. You'll know exactly what JD was referencing on the Antonio Reeves highlight reel.
It's pretty impressive, the catalog that JD has.
It is.
From that group
It
there.
is. Some deep cuts.
No doubt. Here is James Borrego, who was filling in for head coach Willie Green, who missed the game for personal reasons, as the acting head coach. His thoughts on the win.
I mean, the young guys got it done tonight. Really proud of them. Put Robinson Earl in that. Carlo, I thought was great. Eve was great. Our two bigs stepped up, played well, but Keon, I thought, had a heck of a game tonight. His energy, his physicality, he can make shots. He's a heady player. He's got the physical size to guard as well and go get rebounds. We're going to need that moving forward. So he's trending in the right way. Give him a ton of credit. So it looks like he's playing with a lot more confidence right now as well. So really proud of him. And give Reeves too. Antonio was really good. He got us going there in the second half.
I love Keon Brooks being able to come out and get that opportunity, 17 points for him. But I think you're going to like this. This is what he had to say about that last highlight you heard that basically put the game away.
No, I just realized I had the 5 men on me. So I went to go screen for Jose to possibly get a switch or whatever. Then I just went and hid in the dunker. And Jose made a play. If he shot it, I was going to try to tip it in. But he dumped it off late, and I was able to find the glass and put it in.
You like that kind of stuff, don't you? Like the headiness, the IQ level of the play. We just see it from, that's a nice play by him. They meant to do it. And he was like, no. But he was thinking out quickly a couple of scenarios there to help. And I think that speaks a lot for a young player that hasn't gotten a lot of minutes on an NBA court.
Yeah, it's an interesting kind of inside look at all the different things that were going through his head in terms of how do I contribute on this play. So, yeah, I mean, I think you have to be happy for the way that he's played lately. And I know I'm going to get into this a little bit more towards the end of the episode today. But, I mean, Brooks and Reeves became the 18th and 19th different Pelicans player to make a start this season. And of those 19 guys, 16 of them are on the roster right now. So, I mean, there's a few guys, obviously, that have gone to different teams. Brandon Ingram, Javonte Green, Daniel Tice, I think, are the 3 that started that aren't here. But, I mean, if you look at it, every single player on this team has now gotten an opportunity to play significantly. So, I mean, those guys have definitely taken advantage of it. And, by the way, too, Brooks didn't start last night, but he had 17 points and led the team in scoring. So, if you went back to October and you told me Keon Brooks is going to lead the team in scoring, I would be, in a game in March, I would be shocked by that. But, I mean, the fact that he's able to capitalize on how much playing time he's getting and the fact that he combined with Jose Alvarado to make the biggest plays of the game in the last minute last night was great.
And here's Jose Alvarado, who, again, made some winning plays there. James Borrego called him a winner after the game yesterday and what he's been able to do. But specifically about Antonio Reeves, and again, if you've listened to me at all since I've started here in September, I loved him in Summer League. I loved what he's been able to do here. But listen to Jose on Reeves.
Yeah, he's going to score. That's what he does. You could tell he doesn't worry about. He's more. He could miss 10. He feel like he made 10. That's the great mindset he has, and that's great to have. Right when you know what you do as best, and he can shoot that ball, and he knows that he can shoot at a high clip, and he got to stay with that mindset because he can shoot that ball, he can score.
He's in the middle of a really good stretch if you think about it. I mean, he was 4 for 5 from 3-point range last night, and when a rookie is in the position that he's in and he has a game like that, a lot of times you're like, wow, great game. He's done that a lot lately, though. I mean, he had a game at the beginning of the homestand against Philly where he was 5 for 7 from 3-point range, and he had a stretch not that long ago where he made 12 shots in a row from the field, which is even more impressive when you consider that the vast majority of his shots are jumpers. It's not like he's getting wide open layups and dunks to add to his field goal percentage. So, yeah, his efficiency over this recent stretch has been really impressive and really helpful.
All right, well, Mr. Wes Johnson from the television side of things is going to join us here to talk a little bit more about some of those players and also some of the things, Jim, that he's learned in his inaugural season as the television analyst along with Andrew and Aaron. So here's our conversation with that. We'll come right back afterwards. Jim's got a handful of things for you as well since it is a Monday. All right, time now to bring in a very special guest, Mr. Wes Johnson. You can catch him over in the Gulf Coast Sports and Entertainment Network, along with Andrew and Aaron. And it's hard to believe, sir, we are April. April's tomorrow. Yeah. So we are here in the final 2 weeks of the season and everything. So much to get into. But it still doesn't change, does it? Always nice to see you and talk after a win. No matter the type of season, exactly. A win is a win. It was fun last night seeing so many guys. I know Jim's going to ask you about some of the younger guys and stuff, but you find a way to win. You can't ever take that for granted, huh, Wes?
No, not at all. Especially in this league, it's hard to come by wins. So when you do get them, regardless of the circumstances, you definitely appreciate it. So us fittingly switched it around in that second half. So that's something that you want to see the team do. So us getting that win, me leaving out of it, I'm like, okay, I'm actually happy. I don't want to see like the lack of energy or anything of that sort. So us being able to get those wins, regardless of who we're playing, is something that you're always excited about.
Yeah, I mean, it ended up being a 2-1 homestand over the 3 games that the Pelicans played, and the one loss that they did get against Golden State, I thought that was a pretty good effort as well. I mean, they were in the game. They were only down by a point going into the fourth quarter. So not bad. I mean, but in terms of, some of the specifics with this team, I wanted to ask you, obviously you played in the NBA for a bunch of years, just some specifics on some of the players that we're getting to see a lot more now than we were earlier in the season, if at all. And I wanted to start with Keon Brooks, who's, I guess, kind of a guy that played the same position as you. What have you seen from him in terms of, for example, James Borrego after the game last night had a lot of complimentary things to say about not only the way that he's playing right now, but just the way he's trending and kind of his future ability maybe to contribute in the NBA?
Really just him being in the right place at the right time. I think him being out there being, you could say, a 3-and-D type of player, but he's playing the right way. He's not overstepping his boundaries. He's cutting when he needs to. He's knocking down shots. He's having that effort on the defensive end. So for him being able to slide in and have a approach to the game where he's like, I'm going to impact the game regardless if my shot isn't falling. You've seen him make that tip in at the last. That was the basketball guys rewarding you. Like, you putting all the time and effort in when you're in the G League, and now you're getting your shot up here. So you definitely want to play the right way, and he's been doing that. So all the stuff that he's getting, the points that he's scoring, and all the deflections, rebounds that he's able to impact the game with. So him being able to do that is just a testament of him having his time and his opportunity and maximizing it.
When you see a guy like him, I mean, is one of the things that stands out to you the most his versatility? It just seems like he's got kind of the tools and even some of the skill set to be somebody who, you're going to go into a game and you're not going to say, if he doesn't score 20 points, he doesn't help us. It seems like he's been able to kind of check a bunch of different boxes so far.
Yeah, me watching him out, his approach and his whole demeanor is a professional. He doesn't have anything where you can be like, okay, he can't shoot. You can see all the stuff that you can like enhance in him. But the defensive side, that's something that he has a will for. He's always trying to compete. He's not trying to shy away from anything because he understands the situation. He understands the opportunity that's there. So he's going to go out there and do whatever it needs be to stick and be up here with us. So him actually being able to show what he's capable of, everybody's witnessing it, and it's something that, okay, you have a future in that if you continue to water it.
Another guy, rookie player. I mean, I think we're going to be talking a lot about rookies today. Antonio Reeves has been one of the hottest shooters in the NBA since the All-Star break. I mean, what have you liked about the way that he's played lately? It seems like his confidence is really kind of skyrocketing.
Yeah, his confidence. That's my thing with seeing him. When he had that outburst in Cleveland, I'm like, okay. And you want like, oh, was he just hot or was it a fluke? But he came in game after game when he gets his opportunity and he's knocking down shots. So I'm like, okay, he's a scorer. So he can shoot the ball. But then actually him taking the ball off the bounce is something that you want to continue to see him do, because him being able to shoot the ball, like, that's going to get you on the floor. That's your niche. That's your go-to. That's what's going to have you be able to stick. We've been saying you just said he's shooting the ball really well. So him being able to take the ball off the bounce and playing that in-between game is something you want to see him slowly start to grow into. Like, I'm just not just a spot-up shooter or just a gunslinger. I can actually play in the in-between game and be a complete scorer. So if you're looking at CJ was a off-the-bounce creator, shot creator. You see the same traits in Antonio. Antonio has the same ability to be a threat when he steps on the floor. They're going to look at him like he's a scorer, he's a threat. So him being able to enhance and really, like I said, with Keon, water that, what you see in him, and continue to do that, especially being a rookie, young player, all these opportunities that they're getting, especially in these late games, regardless of the circumstances. These games are vital because you're going to have some type of confidence going into next season.
Unlike several of the guys that we're talking about today, Yves Missi actually has been on the court all season from the start of the year. He's actually leading the Pelicans in games played, which, I mean, that's been very valuable in a year where there's been a lot of unfortunate bad luck with injuries. But, I mean, from watching him, first week of the season, first game of the season, he came in off the bench and was a big factor. What are some of the things that you've seen from him, or maybe things that you like the most about his developmental curve, over these last few months from the start of the season until now?
He's grown up. I think that first game, he probably was like, what is going on? And having to guard all the elite centers and power forwards and all those big men throughout every game, and him having to understand and trying to figure out how he can be effective and be in the right place at the right time, but then slowly you're seeing him take over games with the block shots, the tip dunks, this being in like athletic and running the floor. So for me, watching him like throughout this course of this season, I saw the growth. I saw the game in and game out, like he added something. He changed the way he was altering shots at the rim. He changed the way he was attacking people off the dribble. He adding his little push shot around the rim. So the growth of Missi throughout the course of the season, you saw a rookie start understanding, like, I can be effective in this, but I can also add this. So he's slowly transitioning to that year two already before our eyes. It's not just one-dimensional with him. You've seen him slowly becoming a full-blown player. And like the universe rewarded him with the opportunity to play and maximize these minutes, and he did. So the only thing he can do is to continue to grow off that.
Seems like his floater is something that people talked about maybe going back a month or two of, this is something that you need to add to your game, and it seems like he's been able to implement that into games, which I think is another really good sign from what we've seen. Yeah,
I mean, you would think definitely doing it while you're young. You're not really thinking about it. Like, you know what, they're telling me to do it, I'm just going to throw it up there. And then as you get older, you think about, okay, I'm not comfortable with shooting this shot because it's not really me. But he needs to add that, because if you add a Zion back on the floor that's getting double teamed and you catching the ball in the pocket, now you're in this in-between zone, and then you can't really get all the way to the rim. So that shot, him able to knock that shot down, is only going to help him.
You mentioned some of the unique elements and aspects of Yves' game, especially as a rookie, just how impressive he's been in a much bigger role than I think anyone thought he would have. I wanted to ask you about Karlo Makovic, because he's a guy that really didn't play a whole lot in the beginning part of the season, but what are some of the things that he's shown over these last few weeks, or even going back more than a month or so? I think it was late January when he really started to get to play a lot, that is encouraging in terms of his future in the NBA, as even if it's a backup big who plays a significant role.
Him finishing around the rim was, for me, surprising, because he gets the ball around the rim. He's trying to finish. He's trying to dunk on you. He's trying to finish around the rim. So that fearlessness around that rim is something that can be taught. Like, you're not trying to shy away from contact. You're trying to go through everybody. So him being that one lob threat, he's actually trying to run and catch lobs. So him, that's like I was saying last night, that's an offense in itself. Have no play broken down. You run to a pick and roll. He's taking off to the rim. Defense collapses. You have a skip to the corner, wing shake-up. So him being able to be a lob threat and knowing that I am a threat off this pick and roll is something that you see him continually try to do. And spacing the floor, him being able to space the floor and actually knock down corner threes and be a threat behind the rim is something he continued to add to his game. It's going to be valuable to us and to himself.
Let's talk about kind of the bigger picture of this situation that the team is in right now. Obviously, there's 7 games left. They've been out of realistic playoff contention, postseason contention for a while. You were on some really good teams throughout your career. You were on some playoff teams and that kind of thing. But there was a couple seasons where you're on a team that's out of the race and you're into March and April. is it the kind of thing where, especially if you're like a veteran player, that you have to, maybe, I don't know if it's talk to guys or make sure that you carry yourself a certain way so that at this point in the season, everybody continues to stay locked in as much as possible and you don't get that senioritis, last day of school
Right.
type feeling around the team?
Yes, I mean, I can say I was both of those players. I was one of the young players on a bad team. I say a bad team, but it's a team that was out of contention of playing in the playoffs. I was in that situation. So for me going into it, I had to continue to look at it as I'm trying to grow into the player that they're trying to get me to be. How can I fit into the role or fit into what they're trying to build here? So if they need me to space the floor, they need me to play defense, continue to really hone into that, lean into that, because now you're going to the next season. When guys come back, guys get healthy, they see that you can be a part of what they're trying to build. So it's just not you just letting the season be a wash and like, I got 6-7 games left. I'm just trying to make do, get through it and go home vacation in the summer.
Sure.
No, you're just looking at it as I'm trying to continue to build something with this organization. And then the vets that's on the team, they're going to be talking to the guys like there's still opportunity for you to showcase yourself and actually play the right way because it's 29 other teams, regardless if you're here or not, people are still watching, and continue to let them know that and understand that it's still your job, but you actually have to audition regardless of the games remaining and the circumstances.
You last played in the NBA in 2019, and if you go back to the beginning of your career, I think that was the beginning. It was kind of like when social media blew up, whether it was Twitter or whatever.
Yeah.
It was kind of like when it first became really prominent in right around 2010, around there, maybe even going back a year or two before then. But I'm curious, one of the things that is a big conversation around the NBA right now, and just for example, I'll use an example on the Pelicans Twitter account when they posted the final score last night of a win. There's 75 comments after the game, and 72 of them are fans that are upset about the team winning. So as a player, was that something that you ever heard? And I know, there's a huge difference between 2025 and 2019 even in terms of that talk, but was that something that you ever heard from fans about? Did you ever once hear a fan say like, or see it on social media, like people being upset about a team winning at the end of the season? It seems like that would be aggravating as a player.
No, I didn't see it, but you hear it. I mean, it's something that you hear regardless of if you're on social media or not. During that time when I was playing, no, it wasn't as worldly ran like it is now, so you didn't really pay attention as much. But no, I think the fans and everybody understand I think the unique situation that we're in, able to get a high pick and they're like locked in, so they have their own idea of what we should be doing.
Sure.
But in the grand scheme of things, I guess the guys that are running it and guys that are in this building understand what it needs to be done. So I think they got the job for that reason. So I just want them to understand like we'll be fine. I understand that they're emotional about it and I get it, but they have this job for a reason.
I always tell the quick story of when Marco Bellinelli played here. He was only a couple years, I think, into his career at that point in the NBA. He'd only been in America for a few years. And he one day was talking about how he was on Twitter on his page and a bunch of people were mad about the Hornets then winning a game. And he was so confused because it just seemed like the most, just strange, bizarre, alien idea that fans would be upset about that. So, I mean, for me, my perspective on it, too, is like I think everybody's entitled to their opinion, and the fans are totally entitled to whatever opinion they have, especially the people that pay for tickets and support the team and spend their time. But it's kind of one of those things where I also kind of half-jokingly say, you can keep that to yourself.
Yeah.
The opinion about, like, telling the team that you're upset about losing, I don't understand the logic of that, but then again, I think people just like to vent, so... But it's just one of those unique situations that happens right now in the NBA.
I hear you. I think it's very interesting how it goes, and Jim can go for 3 hours on that. But look, here's the thing, though. I mean, it's true because look, it's not even on the air. Just talking about it from a basketball sense. I go home. It's like my wife's like, "Well, they won." I'm like, "Yeah, oh yeah," because look, you put in a lot of work. Right, to go out there and play, and it's hard to not want to compete and to win. And as you guys just mentioned, going over a couple of players, look, we go back to the summer league last summer where we got to see Antonio Reeves and some of these other guys and Brooks and the work they put in and training camp and playing. And I mean, I came home. I'm like, I love Antonio Reeves. That dude can play because we haven't even got to the point that I think he can run the floor,
Right.
And he can play point, and he doesn't turn the ball over. And how many times have you guys in post game talked about turnovers,
Exactly,
and how important that is? So these games are everything for these players,
for sure.
You know, for whether or not they're going to be pros. I talked to Jim about that last night. Some of these guys are going to try to play professionally for a while. So going out there and showing you can play hard, you're coachable and doing those things, it matters. And I know it just stinks, man. We're in a point where do you really want to win or do you not? When at the end of the day, it's about winning.
It is. And that you're trying to take the competitive fire out of these guys going in and you're saying we don't want to win. It's like, what do you mean? I'm still a competition, regardless of the circumstances. We're going out there to play against a team that's trying to beat us. I'm not going to roll over. Like, we're going to go out here and compete. So you're taking away the job of the guys that are getting the opportunity that haven't played. So those guys getting on the floor and actually getting able to show what they're being capable of throughout this entire season that haven't been on the floor and getting these quality minutes that they need to be getting for us and everybody to see what they're capable of. It's hard to tell them not to win when they need to go out there and win.
And I think we can all agree that losing is miserable.
Oh,
losing is the worst. I mean, think about this season, how many times you had some soul-searching nights where it's just like, man, this is terrible.
Oh, my
So,
God.
yeah.
When you look at a team like Detroit, because I was going to ask you, my final question is, you know, I don't know if we'll get a chance to talk to you before the end of the season, maybe afterwards again, kind of recap and your thoughts on the other side of the standings out in front of you. But I look at a team like Detroit. They lost 28 games in a row last year. I mean, I can't even imagine what that's like. When we got to 10 or 11 over the last couple of years, that's brutal.
It was dark.
28. I mean, that's a month of no. I mean,
Wow,
2
wait.
months.
Your
That's
face,
2 months of losing.
right?
Food don't taste good.
But that's my point. So I do think like the Crucible can kind of, you know, strengthen you. I mean, look, Oklahoma City, because I kind of want to start there, and I'll just open it up to you. What stands out to you this year? But Aaron and I have talked about this with OKC. This was a team a couple years ago around the time that the Pels drafted Zion. They were about draft picks. You know what they had, like 30 first-round picks or something. It was something ridiculous, right? So they were all about the rebuild.
Yep.
And they did that. And then they went to 2-3 years where that young group played together, lost together. They went and got SGA. But everybody else around them were draft picks. And they won and lost together. Is that something that you think maybe can help here? I know it's about more health, whether as opposed to finding the right talent. You have talent here. You got to stay healthy. But do you think having these young guys play and do all those things, does that help this organization? Does that help the other players? I mean, listening to Zion months ago say, hey, we want that momentum so we're off and running next year.
Yes.
Do you think that can sort of help them?
Yes. I mean, if you're talking about guys that, like you're saying, lost together. They've been in the trenches together. They've been through all those close games and trying to figure everything out, the practices and like going on winning streaks or whatever you want to say about them, but you saying that they did it together, it's only going to bring them stronger. So if you have guys, 6-7 guys that have been through it for numerous of years, it's only going to turn around because they understand how they need to go about it. They understand how I need to be in this situation where I'm closing out to a guy and I know he's going to be behind me because I've been in this situation before when we were losing and we were like not on the other side of these winning streaks. So they're going to be, like you said, OKC. A couple years ago, like they won at the top of this. And you look at the same thing, like they added 1 or 2 guys. And after that, they're at the top. They added SGA, but SGA had to go through those growing pains with them. And same with Lou Dort, same with all those guys that are over there now. And we're looking at them like, oh, all of them are all-stars. All of them are capable of going anywhere else and playing and being productive on different teams because they've been through something together and been on the winning side of it. Yes, health is an issue here, but once everybody's healthy, you've seen the product of certain guys out there going out and have these big and outspurts, defensive plays, and if you mesh that together and everybody's sticking with it, they'll be fine.
Trust is a big thing about that too, isn't it?
Yes, for sure.
It's like you can hear the way Zion talks about some of these younger guys getting a chance to play. I love, we played in the opening segment, Jose talking about winning, but also about KB and some of the other guys. I think that matters, right?
Yes.
Because that's going to bring something different when these guys, whether it's Australia or here next year when training camp starts, that practice will be a little more competitive, right?
Yes,
We saw it in Nashville. I mean, Jose, Jim, you and I talked about it. Borrego and his team, they didn't want to back down from the starters and stuff. So I think going through it, embracing the suck and understanding how hard that is to go about it, to where you come around on the other end, I do think it matters. And your brothers, if that makes any sense. Going through
so
this
much more.
Makes you stronger.
Yeah.
All right, man. Final thing for me, when you look at the standings, you look at where we are going into the final month of the season, 2 weeks.
Yep.
What stands out to you other than OKC?
Ooh-wee. That bunch in that 6, 7, 8 bracket right there. That middle bracket is going to be very, very crucial towards the end of the year. Everybody's going to be fighting for all those spots to try to move up and not be in the play-in. And we're going to play two teams that are fighting to be staying in, the Lakers and the Clippers, trying to stay in their spot and move up. So for us to go out there to play spoiler and go out there and just to play and compete against them is going to be very vital for those two teams to try to take care of business. But we get to play a little villain in those type of roles. So it's going to be interesting to see how the season ends in that 6-7 range.
This guy's a pro. What a perfect setup he gave us for the last segment of the show today.
It is. Jim Eichenhofer on Mondays gives us his spoiler scale, how high that is to be able to go and do that. Did you like playing the villain every now and then?
Yes. That was fun. I mean, especially when we were like right out of mathematically, like before the play-in started, and we were like on a 9, 10. It was like, you know what, since we can't go, they can't go. So, yeah.
Yeah, I think that's either inherently you or not, right? As a player, whether you like playing on the road and stuff, and I love hearing some players that do that. Like, I totally would be me. Like, I would look forward to the just – index finger to the lips.
Yes, please.
When you do the game winner, or you playing so well that the home crowd is silent.
Silent. That's the best.
But that's a mindset, isn't it?
Yes, it is.
It is a mindset. And this team was really good on the road last year. So I think there's some guys in this locker room can do it. And I think the whole point of this, Wes, in our conversations, we can't wait to get to next year.
I'm with you.
We got talent, man.
We do.
I can't wait to sort of see it. At the same time, I think the playoffs will be fun. Thank you for your time, man. Always a pleasure.
Thanks, Wes.
All right, our thanks to Wes Johnson, who, I was going to ask him, he walked in, he was drenched in rain just like we were. I mean, it's good to see that despite being that tall, the rain still finds him as well there.
Yeah, and I felt a little bad because I had to let him in, and I didn't see his message for a couple minutes, so he was standing out there in the rain.
In the rain.
But, he's a very resourceful man, so he did find a little spot where he wasn't, he was undercover, so that was good. But I still felt bad that he was a little bit soaked.
Yeah, if you're
Sorry
listening,
about that,
we
Wes.
were all in that this morning around school time and work time here as well. All right, let's get to it. It is Monday.
Well, it's a Monday. Thankfully, Jim is always our Friday. It's time for Mr. Eichenhofer to give his players of the week and a player to watch for this week. What you got, big guy?
Let's start with the player of the week. This is a guy that we talked about at the beginning of the show, as well as with Wes somewhat extensively. That's Antonio Reeves. He averaged 12.7 points per game over the 3 games. Pelicans went 2-1. He was second on the team in scoring. Karlo Mekovic actually led the team with 13 points per game, which is not a high number, but it kind of shows you how much balance the Pelicans had. I believe they had 8 players that averaged 10 points or more over those 3 games. The win against Philly, the close loss against Golden State, and then the win against Charlotte. But Antonio Reeves' first start of his NBA career was in the win against Charlotte. And over this past week, he shot 58% from the field, 69% from three-point range. And a quick fact, I tweeted about this briefly this morning. He's actually leading, if you look at all the players in the NBA who've taken at least 30 three-point attempts since the All-Star break, he has the number 1 percentage in the entire league at 61%. He's 19 for 31 on three-pointers. So, we mentioned it's not like he's, 5 for 7. He's actually up to a pretty decent number now, and he's been, if you look at it that way, he's been the best three-point shooter in the NBA since the All-Star break. So definitely worth crediting him for that. In terms of the player to watch, I mentioned Antonio Reeves' first start of his NBA career in the win against Charlotte. Keon Brooks had his first start of his NBA career in the win against Philly. He's now had 3 straight double-digit scoring games. He averaged 12.7 points over the last 3 games, shot 54% from the field, 50% on three-pointers, 75% on free throws. So he's a player to watch because I feel like it's just interesting to see how much more he can contribute. I like his consistency lately. It seems like he's making an impact every single game when he gets a good amount of minutes. So just curious to see how he closes out the season over these last 2 weeks, but this week going forward. And that leads me to the spoiler scale. Speaking of this week, the Pelicans play at the Clippers on Wednesday, at the Lakers on Friday, and then they host Milwaukee on Sunday. So starting with the Clippers game, LA is 42-32 right now. They're in 8th place in the West, but they're only 1 game behind Golden State, which is in 6th place right now. So on the spoiler scale, I give that one an 8. I think this is a really important game for the Clippers. It's one that they're going to look at as we really have to get this win. Every game is important for them, but especially when they're playing against teams that, like New Orleans, that aren't in contention right now. And then Friday, the Lakers are 45-29. They're in 4th place in the West. They had a huge win over Memphis on Saturday, which right now would be the 4-5 first-round matchup between those two teams. Lakers are 1.5 games behind Denver in 3rd place, but they're also only 2.5 games ahead of 7th place Minnesota, so they're not even totally clear of not being in the play-in tournament, although that 2.5 game cushion with 8 games left is pretty decent. But I went with a 10 on that one just because I feel like this is probably the last opportunity of the season to go with a 10. If you look at the last 4 games of the season next week, I don't think there's going to be a situation that comes up where we get to the peak of the scale. And then lastly, on Sunday, hosting Milwaukee Bucks, they're 40-34 right now. They're 6th place in the East. They are 1.5 games behind 5th place Detroit. So, I mean, I don't know if it necessarily matters a ton if you finish 5th or 6th. So, but it's still an important game for them. Just like the Clippers are safe as far as finishing in the top 8 of the West, the Bucks are safe as far as finishing in the top 6. So they don't really have to worry too much about dropping down to the play-in tournament in the East. So I gave that one a 7 on the spoiler scale. Important game for the Bucks, but I don't think it's going to be make or break. So to review, spoiler scale, Clippers 8, Lakers 10, Milwaukee 7. So this is an above average week, I would say, on the scale.
I knew you couldn't wait for that. The next time we do the New Orleans Pelicans podcast will be Friday. And as you know, Pels at the Lakers. You ready for that?
Oh, I will definitely be ready. I can guarantee you that.
I love that. Mr. Jim Eichenhofer, as always, appreciate it, sir. Thank you.
Thanks, guys.
And our thanks to Mr. Wes Johnson for joining us. We'll see you again on Friday on the next edition of the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast.
Thanks for listening to the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast. Join us 3 times per week on Pelicans.com, the Pelicans mobile app, the iHeartRadio app, or where you get your podcast. And be sure to give Jim and Gus a follow on X at Jim_Eichenhofer and GCat_17. We'll see you next time, right here on the New Orleans Pelicans Podcast.